Hey guys, what's up? I'm Connor from the ConnorandLandonshow here. I almost said Dookie Boys. But I'm going to be doing something today that I've never done on this channel before. I've done it many times on the Dookie Boys, but it's been a while since I've shown them. I'm going to be showing off my vinyl collection. There's 2 crates, as you can see. I was originally going to make this a CD and vinyl collection video, but I have way too many CDs to go through because I have 5 racks that are completely filled up, and I didn't want to rummage through those and then have to reorganize them today. So instead, just making a vinyl update video. This is the same as the CD collection videos. Any albums that I don't have that you guys want me to get, leave them in the comments below, that recommendations, and any albums that you think I should review out of these, then leave them in the comments. Also, like the Pink Floyd poster. Yeah. By the way, just a little update. I'm extremely late on this, but around about, what is it now? October 2nd was my birthday, so now I'm officially 17. As a little side note, I guess I should say some other presents that I got, because I'm going to be saying which ones that I actually got for vinyl. I didn't get really any CDs for my birthday, but the 2 movies that I got for my birthday, I got the new Godzilla movie, because it's awesome, and the movie It Might Get Loud. Just recently got that today, actually, but I had some money left over. So, yeah, we're not going to waste any time with this, so let's just get right into it with the first vinyl crate. By the way, this is A through K, and that's L through Z. I don't know why it's so off on that, but they're almost equal, so why not? First, we have an album by AC/DC. We have Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. This is an album still when Bon Scott was alive. This album's pretty good, actually. I think my favorite songs off this are Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap and Big Balls. Next, an album I've reviewed on the Doogie Boys before, Back in Black, first album with Brian Johnson. Shoot the Thrill, favorite song off this album, and favorite song by AC/DC. Then we got the self-titled released by the band Avenged Sevenfold. In my opinion, this is my favorite album by them. I think it's their best album. Afterlife, Critical Acclaim, Almost Easy, Scream. Pretty much every song off this album is good, but I think A Little Piece of Heaven is my favorite song off this album just because it sounds so opera or orchestra-ish. Next is an album that's probably no surprise. It's the soundtrack to my favorite movie of all time, Back to the Future. Can't go wrong with The Power of Love. That's all I'm saying. That is one of my favorite songs of all time. Also with Johnny B. Good, the Marty McFly version. Next we have the Beatles albums. Beatles albums I have are Meet the Beatles. First American album by the Beatles, I think. Beside that, or Introducing the Beatles. Then we got the compilation album, The Early Beatles. Has all their early hits. Bunch of songs off of Please Please Me all around there. Then we got the Beatles 6. Yeah. Then the Beatles album that I got for my birthday, which is Help. It's probably my 5th favorite album by them, I'd have to say. Then we got Rubber Soul, which is the first experimental album by the Beatles. It's when they were starting to experiment, I guess. Then we got my 3rd favorite album by them, which is Revolver. Eleanor Rigby is probably one of my favorite songs by the Beatles. Tax Me, I'm Only Sleeping. Good Day Sunshine, Andy Burke Could Sing. Tomorrow Never Knows, one of the best drum lines of any song, and it never changes throughout the entire song. Then we got my 2nd favorite album by the Beatles, and 2nd favorite album of all time, probably tied with number 1 actually, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I really shouldn't say any favorite songs because all the songs are awesome on there. An album that people give a lot of credit for, but I'm not saying it's terrible, and I'm not even saying it's bad. I'm not even saying it's good. I think it's actually pretty amazing still, but the White Album, but probably not one of my favorite albums by the Beatles. I do like Back in the USSR, Dear Prudence, and a bunch of other songs off that album. Then my favorite album of all time, in my opinion, the greatest album ever made, Abbey Road. Just, again, can't name any favorites off there because it's my favorite album ever. Then we got Let It Be, which is a when you really think about it and you learn about the history of this album, it's the unfinished album by the Beatles. So you can tell when there's like 30-second songs in there, like Maggie May and Dig It. Then we got the best of 1967 to 1970, also known as the Blue Album. It's the greatest hits album by the Beatles. Then we got the Beatles love songs. Pretty much all the love songs by the Beatles. My favorite love song by the Beatles is "And I Love Her," by the way. I love that song, as you can probably tell what I just said. Then we got a newer album that I got actually like 2 days ago from my uncle. He went down to this place called Canesville. It sells a whole bunch of records and stuff. It's down in Council Bluffs, which is near Omaha, Nebraska. Pat Benatar, "Crimes of Passion." This is the album that has "Hit Me With Your Best Shot" on it, and "Little Paradise." So, Hell is for Children too. So yeah, Pat Benatar. Then, in my own honest opinion, when you really think about metal, probably the best metal band and probably the best metal album, heavy metal album, "Paranoid" by Black Sabbath. Just, you can't go wrong with War Pigs or Iron Man or Paranoid. That's all I'm saying. Also, Electric Funeral is awesome. The final demo tape by the band Blink-182, "Buddha." My second favorite album by them, or third favorite album by them, "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket." But that's not saying much because every album by Blink-182 is pretty amazing. Blondie, "Beat to the Beat." This is another newer album. He kind of just gave me a bunch of albums that he thought I should have, and I think the only one I know off this album is "Shayla." Yeah, so probably the only song I know off this. I still need to listen to it. After that, we got "Candy-O" by the Cars, or Cars, Candy-O. Cars. And then we have, hold on, it may be a different album in here, but "Heartbeat City" by the Cars. After that, we have The Doors with "Strange Days," pioneers of psychedelic rock, or psychedelic music. Earth, Wind and Fire, "I Am." Had to have a little disco in there. The masterpiece known as "Rumors" by Fleetwood Mac. Just keep falling over. Then we got the Greatest Hits album by Fleetwood Mac. Son of a bitch. After that, we have Foghat, "Fool for the City." It has "Slow Ride" on it. An album that I got for my birthday, the Foo Fighters, "Color and the Shape." Love this album. It's not the bonus track version, by the way. It only has 13 tracks on it. But Monkey Wrench, Everlong, February Stars, it's the Foo Fighters. Then we got their Greatest Hits album. I know I say "then we got" a lot, but just bear with me. Greatest Hits album, Foo Fighters, enough said. My personal favorite album by them, and my personal opinion, their masterpiece album, "Wasting Light." It's a double LP, it plays on 45 RPM for some reason. An album that Landon on the Dookie Boys has, "Foreigner 4. Of course, it has Jukebox Hero on it. After that, we have a live album by Peter Frampton, "Frampton Comes Alive," which before "Rumors" by Fleetwood Mac came out, this was like one of the best-selling albums of that time. Yeah, opens up like that. Next, of course, we have Green Day, "Dookie," favorite album by them. International Super Hits, "Warning," their experimental album. And then, in Consequence of Sound's point of view, the definitive album by Green Day, "American Idiot," double LP, and it's 180 gram. By the way, after this is all over, I'm probably not going to show it, but a few of these albums in here are colored. That would be "Buddha" and "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket" by Blink-182, and Dookie, International Super Hits, and Warning by Green Day. I'm probably not going to be showing that off because it would take too much time. Then we got the album Sports by Huey Lewis and the News. Then the Jay Giles Band, Freeze Frame. Centerfold is just such a great song. That's all I'm saying. Now, Michael Jackson, Off the Wall. Also, like, it opens up like that, but I didn't want to take it out of the saran wrap, so. Then I contributed to being one of the people who bought one of the best-selling album of all time, because I own Thriller. Then had to have some Elton John, so I got Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. This was $2, by the way, at a record store. Journey, of course. Frontiers. Separate Ways. Enough said. And then I had to have at least one album by Kiss, so I have Kiss Alive 2. Also, it has the little booklet thing in there that's, I don't know if it came with all of them, but it has the evolution of Kiss, and it goes through, like, all the members of Kiss up till, like, in the year 1977, which is when Kiss Alive 2 came out. Peter Criss, Ace Frehley, Paul Stanley, and Gene Simmons. And of course, Kiss Alive 2 is a live album, so that's why it's called Kiss Alive. As I said, I'm doing this all in one take, so if I have to put stuff back in its rightful place, I'm not making jump cuts, so. Alright. Now that was the first one, the first vinyl crate. Then we get on to the second one, which has every Led Zeppelin album. Led Zeppelin 1. Led Zeppelin 1. Then Led Zeppelin 2. Led Zeppelin 3. Then the untitled fourth album by Led Zeppelin, also known as Led Zeppelin 4. Then we got Houses of the Holy. First Led Zeppelin album that I ever got on vinyl, because I got it for Christmas. My uncle didn't even know that it was in the crate that he gave me. Then we got Physical Graffiti. Has Cashmere on it. That's pretty much all you need to know. Then the only album by Led Zeppelin that I was not entirely in love with, entirely not impressed with, and I think is okay, Presence. Achilles' Last Stand. It's pretty much like one of the only really amazing songs off that album. Then we have Into the Outdoor. Somebody already did the thing where you have to take a washcloth and then it shows like the colors on there, and I wanted to do that myself. Then we got Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory. Living Things. This came with a white vinyl, and only about 3,000 copies of this were made, and I was one of the people who got it. Then we have Paul and Linda McCartney, Ram. Paul McCartney's my favorite Beatle, so I have to have at least one album by him on vinyl. Then we got my favorite album by Metallica, of course. I'm wearing a Metallica shirt, by the way. Master of Puppets. I did see Ride the Lightning at FYE, so I might be getting that soon. Then the Misfits, Static Age. This was the first album that I ever bought on vinyl, and I don't regret it. That's all I'm saying, because it's the Misfits, and they are one of the most definitive punk bands of all time. Seeing how I saw Motley Crue live, I had to have an album by them, and I have the album Theater of Pain. Home Sweet Home and Smoking in the Boys' Room is on that album. Then an album by Nirvana, Bleach, their first album, or as I like to call it, Blech, because I'm weird, that's why. Then the second best-selling album of all time, and everyone knows the front cover to this album, Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon. Pink Floyd's coming out with a new album this year, by the way, The Endless River. Holy shit, that's awesome. Queen, News of the World. This is the album that scared the shit out of Stewie Griffin on Family Guy. And also it has We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, and Sheer Heart Attack, and Who Needs You on it. It's my personal favorites off that album. In my own honest opinion, this is the best album from the year 2013. Queens of the Stone Age, Like Clockwork. amazing album. Really no bad songs at all on that album. Then we have one of my favorite punk albums from this year, The Black Market by Rise Against. Rise Against is fucking awesome. And if, like, I had to own one album by them on vinyl, and this was on vinyl at FYE, so I was like, you know what, why the hell not? Because Rise Against is, in my opinion, one of the best punk bands from right now. If I were to compare them to any punk band, they're kind of like the more melodic version of Bad Religion, to be completely honest. Then we have, apparently to besteveralbums.com, in their opinion, the greatest album ever made. I kind of disagree, but it's still pretty good. Radiohead, OK Computer. I don't really think it's the best album ever. And not even the best album from the 90s. It's up there, but Nevermind by Nirvana is still the best from the 90s. Like, no matter what anyone says. Then my personal favorite by Radiohead, In Rainbows. See, I don't even think that OK Computer's... I think OK Computer is their best album, but this is my favorite. So, yeah. Then after that, we have an album that extremely disappointed me, and by the most overrated band of all time, the Rolling Stones, Dirty Work. I don't care what you think. The Rolling Stones are extremely overrated. Like, yeah. Oh no, the Beatles are. No, they are not. The Beatles are not overrated. The Beatles are the greatest band of all time. The Rolling Stones, just call it quits. That's all I'm saying. I know I never want a band to split up, but they've had a good run. Then, one of the best progressive rock bands and one of the best progressive rock albums of all time, Rush, 2112. The fact that the first song on the album is probably the best song in the entire album, and it's split into 6 parts, and it's over 20 minutes long, just amazes me. Then after that, we have, in my own honest opinion, the greatest punk rock album ever made. And that is Nevermind the Bollocks, Here's the Sex Pistols. And of course, this is the American reissue because it is pink and green rather than the yellow and red, I think is what it was. So, yeah, just Sex Pistols are amazing. Then the Sound City soundtrack, Sound City, Reel to Reel, by the Sound City Players. Next up we have another new one, Rick Springfield, Working Class Dog, Jesse's Girl. Enough said. It's Rick Springfield. Rick Springfield's pretty awesome. An album that was supposed to be $1, but I got for free. We got Billy Squier, Don't Say No. Lonely is the Night and The Stroke are the 2 songs that are definitive off that album. Then we got another Billy Squier album that I still need to listen to, Signs of Life. Then after that we have the soundtrack to probably my second or third favorite movie, but it's the soundtrack to the original of this, not my favorite of all. Star Wars soundtrack for the original Star Wars movie, or New Hope as it's called now. Empire Strikes Back is my favorite Star Wars movie, and my second favorite movie ever. That movie is just, that's the best Star Wars movie. I don't care what anyone says. Tool, Undertow. I had to have an album by my favorite progressive metal band, so Tool, Undertow, their first album, which was $12.99 on Hot Topic, but on CD at FYE it's $14.99. What the hell? Next we have U2, October, the second album by U2, then the third album by U2, which is my second favorite album by them, War, Sunday Bloody Sunday, New Year's Day, Like a Song, and of course the song 40, which is one of my favorite songs by U2. Probably my favorite song by U2. Then, of course, my favorite album by U2, which is one of the best albums ever made, The Joshua Tree. You like this album. That's all I'm saying. Just like it. If you don't like U2, just listen to The Joshua Tree, and just like that then. Songs of Innocence was awesome, by the way. To all the people who are saying, I don't want a free album by U2. Too bad. Then we got probably my favorite album from 1994 besides Dookie by Green Day, the Blue Album by Weezer. Or Weezer, the Blue Album, the first album by Weezer. Self-titled album. Got it for my birthday. It was $50, but it was worth it. And then the newest album by Weezer, which is one of my favorite albums from this year, Everything Will Be Alright in the End. I got this today, by the way. Literally, as I'm filming this, 4 hours ago I got this album. Then we have one of my favorite albums by the White Stripes, White Blood Cells. You know, Fell in Love with a Girl, Dead Leaves on the Dirty Ground, Hotel Yorba, Little Room. I actually like this song, I'm sorry. We're Going to Be Friends, I Think I Smell a Rat, masterpiece of an album. And then, of course, the White Stripes' actual masterpiece and the best album of the year, 2003, I think it was. We have Elephant. I mean, just Seven Nation Army. Black Math, There's No Home for you Here. Like, I can't pick a favorite song off this album because every song off this album is really good. My favorite song off this album is actually probably Ball and Biscuit, because the song is an extremely long song by the White Stripes, but the White Stripes prove that they can make a 7-minute song not boring. And then, of course, so far from this year, my favorite album from this year, but the new album by the Foo Fighters still needs to come out, and I've heard the new single, Something for Nothing, I think is what it's called. And I still don't really know how to feel about that song yet. But anyways, favorite album from this year so far, Jack White, Lazaretto. This is the Ultra LP edition, by the way. I'm going to make a separate video about this on the Dookie Boys, showing off all the cool shit that this album has. It has a freaking angel hologram that spins, and it plays from the middle out, from the inside out on the first side. The second side is made of a completely different material. Play the first song, you pick the needle up, you play the song, acoustic, pick it up, put it back down, electric, regular version. Hidden songs in the labels. First side, hidden song, 78 RPM. Other side, 45 RPM. This album uses all 3 speeds. I can't even play the frickin' hidden song on the first side. Jack White he just proves that he's awesome by doing that. Then we have an album by The Who. Probably the best album by The Who. Who's Next has Bob O'Reilly and Won't Get Fooled Again on it. Then the compilation album known as Meaty Beaty, Big and Bouncy. For a while this was the last album that I owned on vinyl in my collection, like the last one I showed off. But recently, my uncle, who went down to that one place in Council Bluffs, got me this, which is the soundtrack to the movie Tommy. Now this is awesome and all that, but the only problem about it is that the first record is kind of broken. So yeah. The weird thing though is that if I set it down on the record player and set it just right, it plays over the break. I don't is it just I think my record player is like the most durable record player in the entire world because it just plays right over that. Moving on. Last two. We have 2 albums by the band ZZ Top. Eliminator, which has Sharp Dressed Man and Tush on it, and Sharp Dressed Man and Legs on it. That's what I meant to say. It also has Thug on it. And then we have Afterburner, which I still need to listen to, but I do like the song Sleeping Bag and Woke Up With Wood. So, yeah. Alright, so Connor and Landon Show fans, still don't have a name for you guys yet. That was my vinyl collection. Like this video if you like this video. 3, 2, 1, I'm done. Subscribe. Oh, one last thing to show you guys, which is a vinyl that I have. The last thing I'm going to show you guys, a vinyl is actually a Led Zeppelin compilation album. It's my favorite compilation album of all time because it just shows how awesome Led Zeppelin is. It is, of course, the 4 vinyl record set of Mothership by Led Zeppelin. I unboxed this thing on the Dookie Boys. It is our most watched video. So go watch that. Mothership is just made of awesome. That is all I'm going to say. So yeah, that's pretty much it. 3, 2, 1, I'm done. Leave me suggestions of which albums I should review and which albums I should get in the comments below. Look for a review on whatever album I feel like. Dookie Boys. Look out for music news. Look out for movie news on this channel and movie reviews if we feel like it. I already said 3, 2, 1, I'm done. So I will see you guys in the next video, whatever that will be. Goodbye.